Hey Virgos, so it's me Alexis. Today I'm going to be giving you guys your new moon horoscope. It's the new moon in Virgo, so literally new you. New month, new you, maybe. Yeah, so if you're a Virgo sun or a Virgo rising, please watch this video because this video will apply to you. So yeah, let's get started. So astrologically, this new moon will be in Virgo. It's gonna be at 6-degree Virgo, and it's gonna have the sun and moon conjunct because it's a new moon, and then Mars will be joining into this new moon. So there's a lot of power and a lot of passion, a lot of assertiveness with this new moon coming up. And on top of that, this new moon event, with these three planets, they're going to be conjunct to the transiting Uranus and Taurus. So lots of grounding energy. So yeah, let's go ahead and, kind of talk about how this will personally affect you. So Virgo, the new moon is going to happen in your first house. Literally a really, short way to translate this, may not be the best translation, is, new month, new me. This is a time for you to really be you. This is a time for you to kind of really, take a look at yourself and be like, okay, how am I really? Have I been too critical with myself? Have I been too anxious to be myself? Like, what are some ways for me to kind of, clean and cleanse my self-expression? How can I utilize and organize who I am? Like, that is something that you'll be asking yourself with this new moon. So like, this is definitely a time for you to be honest with yourself, and this is also a time for you to kind of, not create a new you, that sounds a little bit cheesy, but at least, utilize a sense of self that is more realistic and more practical and more organized. And Virgo, that sounds like that's really up your alley, so I'm sure that you'll like that. Unless, you already like the way you are, but maybe there's something wrong. On top of that, Taurus is going to be in your 9th house, and the 9th house is the house of philosophy. It's the house of traveling, the house of, beliefs, I think of religion. If you're in college, the 9th house also represents higher education. So with that in mind, a lot of this is about you really figuring out who you are. And not only who you are, but knowing how to be who you are when you kind of, encounter the world. That's what the first house is about, and that is something you'll be a focus on. And, by focusing on, that idea of you clarifying yourself, organizing yourself, and being more practical in terms of your self-expression, this is going to help you, see the world the way it is. Because, by knowing who you are, and knowing how to, assert yourself into the world, you will also inevitably know your place in the world. And because you know your place in the world, it is only then from there where you can have a more objective, more stabilized and consistent worldview. So by figuring yourself out, you will have a more stable and consistent worldview. Or maybe, let me kind of talk about the few ways that this could manifest. So let's just say that you really notice something new about yourself, and because of that, you realize hey, I need to change my major so that it's more consistent with who I am. Or let's just say you find a new way to express yourself, and you're sitting here maybe I should really, should implement this new religion or philosophy into my life because it's a good way to stabilize, who I am and to stabilize how I view the world. So a lot of this is, about you being you, and then, seeing how you being you will affect how you see the world, and really, stabilize and really, make your worldview a bit more consistent. So yeah, that's pretty much the dynamic that I got for you, Virgo, for this new moon. From an astrological standpoint, let me go ahead and kind of give you guys the whole gist on, how it's going to be in terms of your tarot reading. So let me go ahead and draw the cards. Ah, yes. I like it when things make sense. Okay, so here's your card, Virgo. You got King of Cups, Four of Cups reversed, and a Three of Coins. So, there's an emotional factor into this reading. With the King of Cups, I would say that, it is in your best interest to, be yourself, because by embracing who you are, this is the first step to you really gaining like really strong emotional comfort. With the King of Cups, I usually see a person who's really good and skilled at, keeping their emotions intact and using their emotions in the most productive way possible. So it's in your best interest if you, try to be yourself, Virgo, because at the end of the day, like, it'll make you feel really good and it'll be a lot more emotionally healthy for you. Now, with the Four of Cups reversed, I think it's in your best interest to also be yourself during this time because, it's gonna really help you get out of like an emotional slump. When I think of when I think of the Four of Cups upright, I think of a person who is kind of an emotional slump, not really doing much. They're not really lazy, they're just not really motivated. And you may have not been motivated lately because you haven't felt very genuine or authentic within yourself. And hey, I can't blame you. When you're not really being yourself and when you're forced to be someone you're not, it can be extremely exhausting. And this is why with this tarot reading, with the Four of Cups reversed, my deck is telling you like, hey, it is time for you to be authentic so that you can kind of get out of this motivational slump because Virgo, you have so many tools at your disposal. You're observant, you're analytical, you're organized, and you're practical. And there is no way to utilize those if you're unmotivated and unhappy. So this deck is telling you like, hey Virgo, you gotta utilize those skills, and the first step to doing that is to be yourself and to accept yourself. So, Four of Cups reversed. Now the last card is the Three of Coins. And I think this card is kind of, not only referring to your first house, but it's also referring to your ninth house. You know how I told you guys earlier that if you find who you are and, accept who you are, you're going to find your place in the world? This is kind of like that card because you're sitting here thinking like, hey, now, like when I look at this card, this is the story. This is you, by the way. You're kind of like, now that I know who I am, I know what I can contribute to the world. I can see how the world is, and because I can see how the world is, I know how to, take my part. I know how to take part in, making the world a better place. So with the Three of Coins, it is in your best interest to be yourself because once you know how you are as a person, then you're going to do a much better job at knowing your significance in the world and how you will view the world, stuff like that. So yeah, Virgo, that is your card right there. So overall, when it comes to this reading, I really feel like this is a time for you to really just, embody who you are. Maybe you've been in a situation where you feel you can't be who you are. Maybe you feel as if like your skills are being, undermined or not really appreciated. And because those skills are not really being appreciated and they're also a part of who you are, it's been exhausting trying to do things that at the end of the day you can't do in the long run. And because of this, like my deck sees that and they're telling you like, hey, it's been a long time coming, but it is really time for you to really stick up for yourself and be who you are. Because not only will you find out who you are, you're going to find the world by doing so. And I think this is not only a reading about self-discovery and a reading about discovering the world, it's also a spread about utilizing yourself and utilizing, the world to help you and for you to help it. Because, Virgo is the sign of utilization. It's a mutable sign, so it's very flexible. It's very practical and, organized. And this is something that you're going to be embodying, not just for yourself, but for the world also. So this is not like a spread where it's exclusively about yourself and only about yourself. It is about yourself, but also how you affect other things around you. And yeah, it kind of implies that like, whatever changes that you make to yourself, like it will influence the way the world reacts to you. And if the world hasn't been so kind to you, I think the first step for you is to be kind to yourself first and see where that takes you. So yeah, Virgo, that is pretty much your tarot reading and your astrology reading. I hope you guys really enjoy it and I hope it all resonates with you. So yeah, I'll see you guys soon.